Jenny Coleman, director of Stop It Now.
What inspired you to get into the child welfare field?
But I wanted to since I was in high school, to be quite honest. I was a kid who needed help themselves and felt like when I had a job one day, I wanted it to be helping kids. But it wasn't always in child sex abuse, which is what specifically Stop It Now does. But in many ways now, I believe that so many of the things that I care about, from the environment to education, if kids are kept safe, then I'm helping all of those further along, that they'll care about people and the environment around them. So I've been on this journey for a long time.
How did you get involved with Stop It Now?
How did I get involved with it, did
Yes.
you say? Oh, well, I've been with Stop It Now for, I think, almost 15 years. I was originally hired as their helpline manager. And I was just fascinated when I first learned about it, even though I'm a licensed clinician and had been working with families and youth for many years. I had never thought about prevention as much. Usually when I worked with families and kids, harm had already happened. But the idea that we can take a step back and actually prevent kids from getting harmed was like an aha moment. And that was 15 years ago. It just was never laid out like that to many of us.
So, what is Stop It Now?
We are a primary child sex abuse prevention program. We've really focused on getting in front of the situations and the folks that could be at risk for harm happening to them, for causing harm, for crossing boundaries. We focus on helping adults take responsibility and be accountable for their behaviors, including keeping the environments of kids safe and talking to each other about behaviors that could just promote questionable and at-risk situations. We talk to folks who are worried about their own concerns, about their safety with youth. We talk with parents and family members and community members about safety planning, about having difficult conversations, and about understanding steps in prevention.
Yeah, as a teen, you're going through some tough things and all that. How important is it for teens to have a safe space to ask questions?
Oh, well, it's huge. 5 years ago, we began whatsok.org for teenagers because we know, and the research bears this out, that kids need help with safe sexual behaviors as young, as early as possible, that they are looking for answers, you know, out in the world, and the world is going to serve up a lot of some accurate information, but a lot of inaccurate information. It's confusing. There are questions, about what is safe and am I okay? Am I doing the right things? So it's imperative that we get in front of kids because there's also they're crossing thresholds where their behaviors, if they are problematic, could become more and more harmful. And they're risking their own lives by not understanding safe boundaries. So it's critical that we provide resources and safe places for them.
And you talked about the What's Okay platform. How does that work?
What's Okay is a website and helpline service for youth 14 through 22 who have questions about what's okay, and not your typical, oh my gosh, my apologies. Your typical, I was worried it was dinner time and I thought I get let them off. But kids who may not have places to ask about questions that they think could mean that they're a monster, that they've done something wrong, or they're not even sure what wrong is. There's a lot of media out there and just a lot of information that's hard to sort through what's safe and what's accurate and what's helpful. So our website provides information on just, kind of frequently asked questions about things like consent and what child sex abuse material is. And our helpline is available then to answer more personal questions through chat and text and phone. And then our website also has blogs of kind of real life stories that we hear that we combine to identify themes that youth are asking about their friendships, relationships, where to get help, how to ask for help, all sorts of different subjects.
And you talked about media, and everything's changing with technology, a lot of AI. How can parents and teens prevent all this technology that could be negative?
Oh, that's such a great question. And it sometimes can feel overwhelming because it's growing so fast. And, I often get asked how we can prevent kids from being abused by the technology. And I'd like to invite us as parents and concerned, folks in kids' lives to think about talking with youth about how they use technology in safe ways and that isn't abusive to others, to not create imagery. There are a lot of what we see is that youth experiencing online harassment, sextortion is caused by other youth. So we need to have conversations with our kids about it comes down to the bullying conversation almost, that we're not going to create harmful materials, that how that can harm somebody, and try to help them recognize the impacts of their actions when they see an image, and instead of passing it on, to pause and to think about the impact that has on the person whose image was sent to them. So showing them ways that they can be responsible in caring for their peers, their friends, their community, as well as talking with them about being smart about privacy. We also need to recognize that for kids, when we say you don't know these people, they do. These are their communities and their friends. So we don't want to prescribe kind of a old stranger danger scare tactic, because they feel like I know the people that are online, whether it's in game rooms, whether they meet them on social media platforms. And so what we need to do is talk with them about what are signs for you that it doesn't feel safe anymore. How will you know that somebody has asked for something that has crossed your boundary? What are your boundaries? So, engaging with youth in conversations about their behaviors, both towards each other and what they want out of safe relationships, is a great way to start to help protect kids.
How can childhood trauma affect someone's mental health in the future?
Everybody has their own individual journey, of course, with how trauma impacts them. But it can vary from everything from health impacts. We've seen research on from chronic heart disease to problems with other cardiovascular systems, certainly with, just other physical. That's not my key area to be able to talk about those on a whim because I'm bad medically personally, but impacts a lot of physical health. It can impact emotional health, of course, depression, anxiety, certainly post-traumatic stress disorder. It can affect relationships, your sense of trust, or how do you get your needs met in communication. It can impact folks' jobs and their ability to provide a home for themselves if their trauma has been so intense without any healing that they're unable to basically be able to organize and function. And on the other flip side of that are folks who are perfectionists, who have, constantly on the go, are pushing themselves very hard and try to get everything done because that's one of their coping strategies. I really can't think of a way that trauma of any sort, including child sex abuse, can't impact people in one way or another. And I'm probably leaving many out.
What is it? How does it feel for you to be getting positive feedback from your programs?
Oh, what a nice question. Our helpline is, we we're used to not always getting that. It's one time kind of shopping, if you will. We don't Folks are anonymous,
Yeah.
we're there to help them. So we don't always hear. So the few times that we do, um, it means everything to us when somebody shares feedback about how it helped. And then we've had some national recognition and local recognition because it's filling a gap. And it just really um, is just warming to know that the field of prevention has been growing so that it is more familiar to talk about. People are more comfortable because it hasn't always been comfortable to talk about. Um, so all of that's just encouraging, and sometimes in a landscape that's not always encouraging. It's hard to be cheerful about child sex abuse prevention, but indeed, um, it's possible. And that's a very powerful message, and I get to help deliver that with Stop It Now and What's Okay.
Yeah, with the What's Okay platform, it's been going for a number of years. What are some of the insights you have gotten with the program?
First is that youth will reach out for help. A lot of people, in fact, I will say honestly, we had at the beginning of development, will they really reach out? No way. There's no way that, a 16-year-old, a 18-year-old, and they do. And they're reflective and they're introspective and they care about their future and they want to know how they can be a good person. So that's really positive. And then we hear the concerns that they have with what they're viewing online. I'm watching anime. It's very sexual. Is that okay? It's bringing up feelings for me. Is that normal? So a lot of questions about what they're viewing online and how it's impacting them. They have questions about what's legal, and that includes consent and ages. They have questions about how to respond to other people crossing boundaries. We've heard many questions also about, am I being abused, and descriptions then of behaviors that sound abusive. So we speak across the board, with folks from, I'm just trying to learn more about my sexuality in a way that, because I think I could have a problem, to something has happened. I've harmed someone. What do I do now? Are they going to come arrest me? To, I think I've been harmed. So we really hear the full gamut.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
Um, you know, Balance is incredibly important. I actually have talked about this, about kind of awareness, balance, and connection, is that you've got to recognize the impact of this work because it does have an impact. I don't have any one magical stress reduction technique. So I honor my heart, and I honor the work that I do, right? Balance is making sure it's not all that I do, that I get to go out to an amazing concert and sit with friends by a lake and, or pet my cat, even when he's really annoying me as he walks across the screen. And connection, that same thing of making sure that I do have relationships that fill me. So I have a number of activities I enjoy, but within that kind of trying all those, to stay awake and to be balanced is that's my goal.
What advice would you give either parents or teens that are maybe nervous to ask these questions?
You are not alone is the number one thing. That's one of the most important things, is that we've heard a lot. I'm sure we haven't heard everything, but we also know that everybody's got their own story, and that help is available. So, we know that that's one of the biggest barriers from folks being safe from sexual harm, is thinking, this is only happening to me. Nobody will understand. Nobody can help me. And that's not true. It doesn't mean that it's an easy pathway, but there's support all over. There's good education. It's just great to have a connection and not keep it inside and to talk it out. There's resources. There's other people that understand whatever place you sit at this table. Whether you're a parent of a child who's been sexually abused, or whether you're a youth looking for answers to your own behaviors, and everything in between.
Where do you want to see your mission and say in the next 3 to 5 years?
We can, I quickly went to kind of a funding and advocacy landscape, because primary prevention, is not always prioritized. We are often too busy, understandably, providing services for folks impact. So on that level, I'd like to see across the board in this field that child sexual abuse primary prevention is funded and recognized as, wow, this is actually the most economical, sustaining, heartfelt practice that we can take. And with that, then, is that anytime somebody does need support, that it's available for them, whether it's our website or helpline or some of the other amazing services that we have around this country and the world, that they're not alone, but they're accessible. So I have my vision sounds pretty grandiose, but maybe 3 to 5 years I should have lowered that. But so to be a little bit more sustainable and to reach more people every day and to keep, developing resources that speak to so many different audiences that need help.
So, how can people reach out and learn more?
Well, they certainly can visit, if they're an adult, they're looking for more information about Stop It Now, they want to reach our helpline, they're interested in training, they can visit stopitnow.org. And if they know a youth or they are a youth, we also have flyers. You can write us at stopitnow.org at our info at stopitnow.org. You also can visit What's Okay, just the way it sounds, .ok, org as well. Um, Stop It Now is our home base. What's Okay is a program of ours. My name is on there. You'll find us in any way that you reach out. If it's just hitting our contact form to say, I heard you, would love to hear more, or, can we talk about a training, or can I deliver flyers to, um, my community group. So yeah, please feel free to reach out and use our helplines. Both our helplines are hopefully you find them, really visible on the websites.